And then we're going live, baby. Go live. 3, 2, 1. And so, hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Welcome to another episode of the Kong Family Show. We have a very simple mission here in the Kong family. And it's real simple, real easy. We just want to change the world. And that's what we're doing. And, we've got ourselves a really special guest here today. He's from California. Where at in California are you, Bill?
I'm actually in Marietta, California. I'm right in the middle of LA and San Diego.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I should know. I was born in San Diego, so I should know that. But yeah. So, Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show today. And I just want to let our listeners know that, you're truly a product of the product, and it's inspiring. You've been inspiring me since the very beginning when I first watched one of your videos. And reached out and you've just been a tremendous help for me and a great inspiration, which is, kind of common throughout the whole Kong family, I call it Kong's water because that beautiful lady that's inside the machine, she says, Kong in water, 9.5. And so I was like, hey, how do you think that big gorilla got so big? Because he was sticking his head under the base of the waterfall and drinking electrolyzed reduced water from nature like we get to do with our little lightning bolt in a box. And so thanks again for jumping in with us for a few here to share some of your wisdom with our guests. And, this is getting recorded. It's going to get onto YouTube, and then you'll have it available. You can share it out. And so hopefully for years and years to come, this is going to be going out there and helping people towards what we're trying to do, which is change the world. Yeah. And we're making it happen. And so, with that said, I'd like to start out with the first question that I always ask all of my guests is, how and why? And how long ago, and how did you get involved with Kong and Water, and why did you decide to get involved, and when did you get involved, and were you a skeptic like I was? Because I was a huge skeptic, cost myself 6 valuable months of my life, and so what's your story in that regard, Bill? How'd you end up in the Kong family?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to get on here today. And you're right. We do need to spread the truth. And it seems to me, I'm an old school kind of guy. And so for me to get involved in social media and all this PC and computer stuff, it was kind of tough. But I've learned over the years that the only way we're really going to get the word out is by getting involved in social media like what you're doing today. And of course, with the YouTube videos and the live Facebooks, and you know what? And we're not afraid to tell the truth, and that's the whole key, because you never know who might be listening to what you're saying, or be listening to your story, and who you might be helping out there. I mean, that happens all the time. And so to get back to the question, and yes, I was a major skeptic. I'm a retired strength and conditioning coach for over 35 years. My wife and I were former bodybuilders. We did go on stage. We also owned one of the largest gyms in this valley. And so we obviously have a lot of experience under our belts. Well, what happened was about 8 years ago or so, my son-in-law was diagnosed with MS. Now, the information I'm going to give you here is my experience. So it's not about the water. The water is just a tool to help the body heal itself. I mean, the water isn't the actual healer or cure. There's a bigger puzzle here. It takes more than just the water. There's a huge puzzle here. But the water obviously is the main source, and this is what I learned through my experience. And I was a skeptic because as a professional, a health professional, sometimes we put ourselves on a pedestal and we have a closed mind. And my choice of water for my clients was Aquafina, because that's all they taught us. They didn't teach us much in school about water. They didn't teach us there were different kind of waters. They didn't teach us anything like that. But we did understand that hydration was very, very important. Well, what happened with my son-in-law is that he, when they diagnosed him with MS, he was on shots every week. I think they cost him, or actually every day, I think they cost him like $3,000 a month. And he was also on medication. Well, the symptoms progressively kept getting worse and worse to a point. Now, you got to remember, he was 26 and he owned a very successful business. But what happened was that the symptoms were progressing very, very fast. And because my wife and I are in the health profession and we're more or less alternative, we don't go to doctors. So we were trying to find a way or a means for him, an alternative way of slowing down the symptoms. We never thought that anything but that. And so she was doing research. She's my researcher. So if I need any science to back what I say up, I send it to her and she'll find it. So and the stuff that I'm talking about is all science backed. So she overheard somebody in my office talk about this water that came from Japan, and this was about 8 years ago. And she overheard the person say, you know, the Japanese have been using this water in their hospitals for decades. And that he also said that, you know, it helped us with many disease models, and he mentioned MS, and that perked her ears. Well, she was reading a book. I don't remember who the researcher was, but she was reading a book where it talked about that people need to be more focused on water as far as inflammation, because those of us that are in the medical industry or health professionals know that the cause of all diseases is inflammation. And so this book mentioned that you need to be a connoisseur of water. So she put the two together and said, well, I need to go talk to this guy. So she talked to the guy. The guy said, yeah, I'll give you the water for free for a couple of weeks. You can try it yourself. She brings 10 gallons home, and she's trucking these 10-gallon bottles, plastic bottles, into the house. I'm going, what's that? And she says, well, this is the water we're going to be drinking. I go, what are you talking about? I got my own water in the refrigerator, Aquafina. She says, no, that's junk water. I said, you need to see the videos this guy gave me. I go, I'm not going to watch any videos. Water's water. I mean, and she says, no, this is what we're going to drink, and this is what Randy's going to drink because it's supposed to help. I go, how in the heck can water help? There's no way. And so anyway, so for me, because of my profession, I had chronic arthritis in both shoulders because of what I did in the past. And it got to a point where the chronic arthritis was so severe that I wasn't getting a full night's sleep because I had to lay on my back with my arms to the side. And Emily would have to wake me up every so often because I'd be moaning. Because if I twisted or turned to move, the pain was severe. And plus, besides that, I was I had prostate issues also. And so anyway, but the main concern was our son-in-law. So anyway, she said, you're drinking the water. Well, we've been married 47 years now. So obviously I'm going to listen. So she basically told me to drink the water, don't drink anything else, no sodas. I was a soda freak. No sodas, no nothing, just drink the water. And we're going to do it along with Randy and my daughter and the kids. And then she sat down with the two grandsons, watched the videos, and the two grandsons said, my dad needs to drink the water, took the water home. I started to drink the water, and then 3 days later, I get a phone call from Randy, and he says, how do I get my own device? I go, what are you talking about? He says, I need to know how to get this. I go, what do you mean? Why? What's going on? He says, well, my tremors. That's when you have MS, that's a side effect, tremors, and a lot of times that'll keep you up all night. and they were gone. And I explained to him, I says, there's no way. He said, no, I don't care. If it's a placebo effect, I can care less. I need my sleep. And he said, I want to get a machine. And I said, so you're telling me that you think the water helped with your tremors? He says, yeah, I know it did. I haven't changed anything else. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'm trying it out. How do I know how to get a machine? I have no idea. All I was told to do was drink it. Well, after Randy told me that, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, you know what? I think I might have slept all night. Because I don't remember waking up in the middle of the night because of the pain. And then I asked my wife, I says, hey, did you hear me moaning at all? And she says, no, I didn't. I go, well, Randy just called. And he says he wants a device because his tremors are gone. And she looks at me and she says, I told you. We needed to drink the water. Well, of course, you know what? In my mind, I'm still skeptic. I'm thinking, no way. This is too quick. And I'm not a quick fix kind of guy. And so I'm thinking to myself, there's no way in the world. Well, make a long story short, within 6 or 7 days now, because of my chronic arthritis was so bad, I had to stop going to the gym, which was my life. I've been surfing for over 40 years. That was part of my life. I had to stop my sports. I was trying other sports to see if I could do something, but the shoulders is connected to your body. So it doesn't matter what sport you try, the shoulders are going to affect it. And so I was in too much pain. I couldn't do anything. Well, anyway, 4 or 5 days, I was back in the gym again, slowly and rehabbing myself, but I was at least back in the gym again. And Randy kept improving more and more. And finally, I called up the guy and I told him, I said, my son-in-law wants to buy a machine. What do I do? And he told me, and he says, oh, by the way, you need to get your own machine. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why? And that's when he introduced the business side of it to me. Well, because my wife and I invested a lot of our money in real estate back then. And we all know what happened in 2006, 7, and 8. And we lost everything. We lost our ranch, our horses. We lost everything in real estate. So I had no money. And I told him, I says, I have no money at all. I mean, I can't afford the machine. And he says, no, you have to get a machine so that you can have some money in the future. And I said, well, if you don't have any money, how do you do this? He says, you figure it out. And so those of you that think that this machine is too expensive and that your health isn't that important, well, you might want to think about, don't think about what's in your wallet. You just figure it out. And what we did, I had no idea that you could even do a payment plan. And so there's different options that you can do. And so what we did, we borrowed the money. And the person we borrowed the money from for the down payment knew that I needed it for my own self, but my son-in-law, and he told me, he says, I don't want you to pay, here's the money, the down payment, don't pay me back. I don't want it back. This is a blessing. And of course, my wife and I were not wanting to do that, but our health was that important because we saw the improvement. And so we borrowed the money, and I would say in 4 months, I was able to call him up and say, hey, I want to meet you for lunch. He said, sure. So we met for lunch, and I handed over an envelope to him with all the money. So in 4 months, I was able to pay the machine off because we saw the improvement. My son-in-law was starting to reverse his issues. And so a light bulb went off in my brain thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on here? So I needed to do my own investigation, my own research, and found and learned that the hydrogen in this water was the actual therapeutic property of it. And that's why we felt the healing of drinking the water because of this molecule. Well, I kept researching it. So the bottom line was that this basically changed the water, the hydrogen-rich water that we're getting out of the Enagic electrolysis device. obviously had some properties, some healing properties to it. And plus, if the Japanese have been using it for 4 decades, I mean, how can I dispute that? I mean, I may be closed-minded, but I can't dispute that at all. And so this became my platform, my number one platform for my 90-day online personal coaching. So I explained to people why we don't as human beings, or here in the United States, most of the public takes water for granted. They don't realize that the water is essence of life, and they don't realize how contaminated their water is. I mean, if they knew how contaminated their water is, they wouldn't be drinking it, but they seem to just not get it. And that's what we're trying to do, is explain to them that, I've got 11 grandkids and 5 kids. And my concern for them is, what chance do they have to survive in this toxic environment where cancer is still an epidemic? So anybody that's telling you there's less, they're lying. Cancer is still an epidemic. Type 2 diabetes for kids, epidemic. Obesity, epidemic. I mean, all this is epidemic. And why is that? It's because of inflammation. It's because of the toxic environment. It's because of the processed foods, because of the contamination. Your body is 75% water. Your brain is 80. Your blood is approximately 90% water. The World Health Organization has already proved that 93% of all bottled waters, which means that most of you that drink bottled water out there is drinking plastic particles. Well, if your brain is 80% water and you're drinking plastic particles, and you're supposed to be drinking a gallon a day, and you're doing it every single day, think about it. What's going to happen to your brain? Dementia is on the rise. I mean, Dr. Allen talks about this all the time. So that basically, I quit. I was in real estate, so I hit 6A in 13 months. My wife, I built the business first for my wife, so she hit 6A, and then I built, and she's about 25 machines away from being a 6A too. And then I went ahead and started a business in my life for myself, and I've been a 6A for a few years now. And so that's basically how I got started.
Wow, that's an awesome story. Did I tell Emily I love her today?
Yeah. Well, the
part, that's just so awesome,
Yeah. The major objective of this whole thing is that during the process of drinking this water, here I'm supposed to be healthy. I found out that I had cancer. I had no symptoms at all, zero. And then during the process of drinking the water, I found out I had cancer, and I had a type of cancer that chemo and radiation would not affect it. And obviously I wouldn't have done it anyway with my background and knowledge of it. So so my wife and I decided to do alternative, because I knew the science behind hydrogen-rich water. I knew how it was able to detox the body with every glass of water. I knew that it was the most powerful antioxidant on the planet. I knew it was the smallest molecule in existence to go through the blood-brain barrier. And I knew the immune system needed antioxidants, and the immune system is the only way you're going to beat cancer. And so that's what we did, and that was 6 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, six or 7 years ago, and I'm still here.
Wow, that's just all the more powerful, buddy. And that's what's so cool about this, is that, these kinds of stories they're commonplace. And one of the things that I like to always make sure to make very clear here on the Kong Family Show is that this machine right here, this thing right here, this is what I've learned, because I've been in a study mode. Because at first I was a skeptic, and then I started drinking the water. When I first got involved, I didn't want anything to do with the business side of it. I already had 3 companies I was running, and I simply didn't have any time for it. But once I started drinking the water, started feeling the effects, then I started deciding I needed to do some research. I needed to learn. I started listening to Dr. Michael and Dr. Ah and you know, many other doctors that are out there talking about this stuff. And I started learning, and I learned that this thing right here, this is the machine. This is the miracle. This is the 120 millivolt machine that runs on hydrogen and electricity. And then I realized how the water gives the machine what it needs. It gives it that electricity, it gives it that hydrogen, and then the machine, this machine that's designed to heal itself, it goes out and just heals itself.
Yeah.
And you know, as long as you get rid of all the other garbage and that kind of stuff that that so many people are, you know, shoving down their gullet every day and that kind of thing. And so, you know, my next question is, you know, it's kind of a you know, this is an interesting kind of question, because we've, you know, you've actually already mostly answered this question, but you might have something else to add. And that's always, you know, what, you know, once you start giving your machine what it needs, it does amazing things. And I would imagine that in the time frame you've been involved with this, that you've seen some pretty amazing things happen that, you know, right there on the border of miracle, but you understand why that miracle is happening, because this thing right here is indeed a miracle. Mm-hmm. And you know, so what kind of stories do you have to tell, if any, that you would like to share with our audience of you know, people that have you know, like your son-in-law with his MS? I mean, that's an incredible story in itself. Your cancer, that's an incredible story in itself. So, like I say, you might have already answered this question, but do you have anything to add to it?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll pick out the ones that are probably the ones that I was just questioning, that to see, I mean, it just blew me away what happened. And I'll tell you what, like I've said it, like we both have said it in the beginning, this is my experience. Now, those of you out there, I can talk freely in front of a doctor or a health professional and be very confident on what I'm saying, because now there's way too much science back in hydrogen-rich water. I mean, there's way too much. So even the doctors cannot deny it now. And so don't be afraid to talk about it, but make sure you know where to look for the science behind it. But anyway, probably I had a guy who called me up who saw a Facebook post I did about hydrogen-rich water in type 2 diabetes. The reason why I'm picking type 2 now, diabetes, is because now that's an epidemic. Most of the public out there don't realize that they even have it, but it is an epidemic, and now it's becoming an epidemic with young kids. And so there's two medical issues that we have actually there's three, but the two of the main ones that is very easily reversed by hydrogen-rich water is type 2 diabetes and acid reflux and high blood pressure. And the reason for that is because all you're doing is regulating the blood sugar in the blood and hydrating the blood. Well, blood pressure is the same way. Why do they give you blood pressure medicine? Well, to thin the blood out. Well, you're chronically dehydrated. That's why your blood is so thick, and that's why you have high blood pressure. But anyway, so guy calls me up. He said, hey, I saw on Facebook where you have something that might be able to help my type 2 diabetes. Now, I've known the guy. I haven't talked to him for like 5 or 6 years. And I said, oh, you mean the hydrogen-rich water? And he says, yeah. I said, well, yeah, yeah, you want to try it? I'll let you try for a couple of weeks. And he said, yeah, I've been on metformin for 9 years. And I go, well, how's that working? And he says, well, I still have type 2 diabetes. And I said, Lawrence, do you understand the side effects of that long-term? Has your doctor ever talked to you about that? He says, well, no, not really. I said, you know what? Get on Google, put in metformin long-term. I said, you need to do your own research. I says, your issue, I mean, if you're on that for long-term, you're going to affect your kidneys. He says, Bill, it's funny you should mention that. He says, that's one of the reasons why I'm calling, is because my kidney counts are elevated and they're talking about me going on dialysis. And I said, oh, okay, well, go Google it. Research it yourself. I'm not going to explain it. I want you to see it. Well, anyway, he said, I want to try the water. Okay. So I was delivering that water. He lived about, I don't know, maybe, half hour, 45 minutes away from me. So every 2 weeks, now those of you out there that share the water know that the hydrogen-rich water will dissipate very fast, depending on your machine, what the output is as far as the negative charge. You can go 3 to 4 days. But with this guy, I wanted to go 2. Give him fresh water as often as I can. Well, just within a few days, and I knew this was going to happen because he was very dedicated. He was very consistent. And when I texted him to find out how he was feeling, he was texting me back right away within seconds. So I knew he was doing the water right. See, that's the key point. Those people out there that come back to you and say, I don't feel anything. Well, they're not doing it right. They're not telling you the truth at all. So within a few days, his blood sugar started to drop. And I asked him, I said, do you take your blood sugar every single day? He said, yeah, 2 to 3 times a day. I said, good. I said, do a log and do it by date and times and do different times of the day. I go, keep a log for your doctor. I says, as your blood sugar starts to drop closer to normal, 100 or less, I says, you need to contact your doctor and show him your log, because what he's going to do, he's going to start taking pieces of that pill, one piece at a time, like 1/8 of a piece of it, and slowly get you off. Don't do it yourself, cold turkey. Don't ever, if you're doing heart medication, do not cold turkey stop taking it. It's got to be monitored by your doctor, and you also have to do it a piece at a time. So he did, and come to find out, his blood sugar dropped. Well, the next step was your body, the physiology of your body is pretty amazing, because it's going to go after whatever medical issues you have. It's going to go after certain ones. It's not going to go, if you're saying, okay, I'm going to go after the blood sugar. Well, the body may not be working on that. It may be working on something you don't even know you have to heal it, which in this case, exactly what had happened. And so we got the blood sugar under control. The next step was, let's see what the body does with the kidney. Well, his kidney doctor says, and she was from Asia, so we all know that doctors don't believe in the hydrogen-rich water because they're not educated. And it's very simple for them to be educated, but they don't have the time to go to Google Scholar and investigate themselves. So they just don't do anything. They just say, oh, that's not going to work. But anyway, this doctor, his kidney numbers were dropping. And I told him, I says, Lawrence, I says, you need to be drinking a 1.5 gallons of this a day, every day. No more sugar. Stay off all sugar. Sugar's causing inflammation. I go, your body is still inflamed, and your kidneys you need to detox every single day, but stay away from the starchy foods, stay away from sugar, processed sugars, until your numbers get to normal. Well, his kidney numbers were dropping, and the doctor's going, well, that's funny, because we're not giving you, there's nothing to give you, no medications to give you to get your kidneys to drop. What are you doing? And Lauren says, well, I'm drinking this water, let's see, what do you call it? Hydrogen-rich water, I think. And she says, what is it? Well, I thought because she's from Asia, she would know, but she didn't. So he explained it to her. And she said, well, whatever you're doing, just keep on doing it. Well, make this story a little shorter. We finally got his kidney counts down low to a normal state. And then obviously the big thing happened. He had cancer, colon cancer. And can you say it was from the metformin side effect? I don't know. Who knows? But that colon cancer was there for a while. And so the doctor told him that we can't give you chemo, because he was still trying the water, doing his research. So he was trying to determine, okay, should I do the traditional cancer treatment, or should I just do the water? And he asked me that question. I says, Lawrence, that's not a question I can answer. That's up to you. I mean, All I could do is direct you into where to look for the science, and you have to determine that yourself. And so he was battling back and forth about what he should do, because he knew that the traditional Western cancer treatment would probably kill him eventually, or the side effects were so bad. Well, what happened was the kidney doctor said, you know what, we can't. He actually went down. He met the oncologist, who did not tell him anything about his diet. Because I asked him, I says, now when you go to the oncologist, don't say anything. I want to know if your oncologist is going to give you a meal plan to get you off sugar, because we all know that sugar is the snake, and that is causing the inflammation, and that's the main source of fuel for cancer cells. And those of us that have gone through cancer, and those of us that have got the background in nutrition, know that if you cut the head off the snake, then it's going to kill. I mean, it's dead. Well, I explained this to him so he would have some ammunition if he needed it. Anyway, he went in there, and he called me up and said, no, the oncologist didn't say anything. I asked him, I says, well, how should I change my eating plan? Oh, don't worry about it. Just keep eating the way you are. The chemo will take care of it. Well, that's the normal answer. But anyway, they put a port in him. So they were getting them ready to go for the chemo, and he had to go. But first, the oncologist said, okay, you have to go back to your kidney doctor because we want to get a finalized blood test on that. And the kidney doctor came back to Lawrence and says, you know what, Lawrence, I said, we need to hold off on the chemo because I want to make sure your numbers are even lower. And so Lawrence says, fine. But meanwhile, we changed his diet, obviously, changed what he was doing. Well, what happened was, I don't know how, I don't remember back then. It was 6 years ago, but I think what happened was no colon cancer. So, yeah. So there was, I mean, and that's just one story. We got a phone call from a little girl who was 6 years old down the San Diego Scripps Child, what's it called? The San Diego Child Hospital. It's down in San Diego. It's the #1 hospital for kids, where this little girl got mauled by a pit bull, and it tore off her ear, and they tried to put the ear back on, and obviously it didn't work. Well, of course, you know, those of us who have been around for a while know that most of the staph or MRSA that people get, you get it from the hospital itself. That's where you get it from, or the gyms, you guys. So, but anyway, so what happened is we got a phone call because of the little girl had MRSA in the inner ear, and the antibiotics they were using weren't working. And so they called us. They knew about us, and they called us up and said, hey, we have an issue here. The doctors can't stop the MRSA. They're worried that it's going to enter into the inner ear and it can do more damage toward the brain. And I said, well, tell the doctor to contact Loma Linda Hospital off the 215 Marietta, the wound care center, and ask them to send some hypochlorous acid. Well, we all know what hypochlorous acid is. Our machines make it 2.5. That's what it is. And so he said, he told the doctor that, and this is sad. And the doctor says, well, I've never heard of it, and it's not going to work anyway. So he called us back, and he said, this is what he said. I said, okay, my wife and I will be down there first thing in the morning. I'll bring a quarts, the black bottle, quart bottle, the Enagic black bottle. I'll bring a whole quart of 2.5 down, and let's see what happens. So we drove down there the next morning. We were in the room. They had the little girl wrapped up with an ear patch on, and so the nurses were unwrapping her, and putting some whatever they were putting on her. So we waited till they left, and I said, okay, let's unwrap her. So we wrapped her. I said, this is a little spray bottle. I said, we're going to put some of the 2.5 on, let them smell it. And then they knew the smell because the chlorine, I made it really strong, super strong. And so you know what it smells like.
Yeah.
And so I explained it to him, and I said, this is what the wound care center in Loma Linda, this is what they use. It's hypochlorous acid. So if you want to look it up, go ahead. But anyway, I sprayed the inner ear, and then I took the gauze that they had there. I soaked it with the 2.5, put it back on, wrapped her. And I said, okay, this is what we have to do. How often do they change the dressing? And he said about 3 times a day. I said, okay, every time they change it, unwrap her and do exactly what I did. And so he said, okay. So we stayed there for most of the day just to keep doing it, and then we left. And it was a week before Christmas. Now, what I didn't know is that I was wondering why she was in her room by herself in an isolated area, and I didn't know that the type of MRSA she had was contagious, and I didn't know that, and so that's why she couldn't leave. She had to stay there. Well, it was a week before Christmas, and so I'm trying to remember, I think it was within 48 hours, a doctor came in to check it, and he was looking at and he says, oh wow, the antibiotics are working great. It's actually getting better. And I told him, I said, don't say anything, because he's already got a wall up, and if you're telling him you're using this, he might make you stop using it, because we've experienced where oncologists have actually threatened to call the authorities. And so I said, don't say anything, just keep doing it. Well, Christmas Eve, they released her to come on home. So that's the 2.5. So this device, the Enagic electrolysis device, doesn't only produce hydrogen-rich water, which is therapeutic to the body, helps detox the body on a daily basis, because of the structure of the molecule, helps to flush out the toxic chemicals from the environmental toxins you're consuming every day, because you're not going to be able to get away from that, so you're detoxing it every day. It also does the hypochlorous acid, which is for skin diseases, multiple, and most of you out there who have the device most likely know that, have experienced it in the past. So that's just that's why we need to spread the word, and we need to do more of this social media stuff. And like I said, do your research. Go to Google Scholar. Start learning. I mean, it's just amazing on all the new research that's coming up about it. So
that's some awesome stuff right there, Bill. This is so exciting to I've been so excited to get you on the show, because I just knew you had so much wisdom to offer, so much great information. And, that's what this is all about. It's about educating people, and we never know who's going to resonate with who, and what story is going to resonate with somebody. That, for me, like my 6 months, I laughed at Tim McGaffin, my dear friend who continued posting about this stuff every day, and I just laughed about it. I thought it was just the stupidest thing in the world. Water's water. This is ridiculous. And I never said anything, because I never spent any time looking at it or learning about it or anything. And all of a sudden, one day, a post from an angel named Brittany Dykes, she put up a post, and that post turned on the light bulb in my brain cell, and I decided to click that see more button. And, the rest is history, buddy. And, because of that, I've ended up meeting incredible people like yourself, and learning so much, and just having such an incredible passion now to get this water out to the world. I really believe that had I known about this water, my mother would still be here with me, barring some catastrophic accident or something. The things that she died of, I don't believe that they would have happened if I would have been able to get her to drink this water. It was available, but I didn't know about it. And, so that's something that I just have to live with, but it's one of the driving forces in what I do. And, one of the reasons I created this platform is because I really want to share whatever we can share out there with the world through this big family of people. And you never know who's going to resonate with who. You never know your story might be something that somebody says, wow, that Bill Mabry, man, he's right up my alley. I want to work with that dude. And, I want to see what he's got going on. And so always I like to ask people at the end how they can get a hold of you. But before we go there, I want to ask you one other question that I think has yielded some really interesting results and some interesting things because everybody has something different to say about this particular question. And, there's people out there, and we know they are out there. They're coming on the different shows, and they're just kind of hanging in the background. And you got somebody that's interested, and there's only one thing that you can say to them. You've got one opportunity to say one thing to them to help them realize why they should become part of the Kong family and do this for their machine, for their families, and all that kind of stuff. What would that one thing be, Bill, that you would say to people?
Wow, that's a broad range there. I'll tell you what happens to me mostly is that I'll be honest, is I don't walk up to people cold turkey and tell them to drink the water. I let them ask me, to be honest. And so what I do is you got to put yourself out there. And I'll tell you what, guys, one of the easiest and most simplest way to get people to ask you, what are you drinking, is the water bags. It's that simple. I go, carry the water bags around wherever you go. If you go to Starbucks, put it on the table. For me, my wife and I, we train 6 days a week. And so I have a couple of gyms I go to. So when I carry that that water bag, and you're always going to see somebody who's going to ask you, boy, that must be some expensive water, or what is that? And so that opens the door for me to tell them, and this is what I say. But each person, they don't have what I have. But each person, when they ask me, this is 90% of the time, I say, this is the reason why I'm here in the gym today. Now, why that works so well for me is because I'm old. That's why. I'm an old guy, and old guys are not, old guys and old women are not supposed to be training as hard as we are or as heavy as we are. And people in the gym see that. You don't know who's watching you. And they're going to want to know, okay, I'm 25 years old. I'm 30 years old. Why is their body fat, why are they so ripped? Why are they, they train hard? My wife and I, for 45 minutes, we don't even talk to each other. We train together. There's no communication. We just work it hard. And so that's basically how I started off, is I explained to them, hey, this is the only reason why I'm in the gym. Or if I'm at a Starbucks, or if I'm at a granddaughter or grandson's baseball game, I'll have the water. Somebody asks me the question, what is that? I'll say, well, this is hydrogen-rich water. This is the water I hydrate myself with, because I used to drink that bottled water you're drinking, and then I found out what was in it. And if you knew what was in it, you wouldn't be drinking it. Now, sometimes they'll say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, you know what? If you want to know more about this, here's my card. Go to 9.5.com or whatever I have on my card. I says, this will explain the reason for it. Hey, if it makes sense, you know what? Give me a call. I'll share the water with you. It won't cost you a dime. And I leave it alone. I don't chase anybody. I stopped doing that years ago. I don't chase anybody. So it depends on the person. It depends on the situation. But what people do, and I think you've seen this, because I made the same mistake, because I'm a science guy. So I made the same mistake. We talk too much. We talk way too much. And we give them too much information. So, listen. That's a big thing. Keep your mouth shut and listen. When something pops up, then do something very short. Say something just to increase their attention. So
No, that's a great angle. That's I love asking that question, because everybody that comes on has something unique and something different. Some of the stuff is similar, but that's the first time that anybody has come at it from that angle, and I think that's just brilliant stuff. And I believe you're right on the money, because too much information, like, that's one of the reasons why I try to get people like you on here and try to get stories out of you and the people that do come on, because there's an old saying that says facts tell and stories sell.
That's right.
The stories are what are going to resonate with people. That's what resonated with me. Tim was posting fact after fact after fact after fact, and I was just letting it go right over my head, not even listening to any of it. And then that fateful story come along that changed my life forever, and for good, for the good of things. And there's just nothing more powerful and more rewarding than having somebody call you up and thank you for helping them, for changing their life, for adding something to their life of value. And so that's something that I have such a passion for and such a craving for now. I'm just reaching out there like crazy to get stories from people, just because I want to hear them, I want to share them, I want to spread them, I want to change the world, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what we're all doing together, my friend. And so the last thing that, we've been going now for 45 minutes, and we can go as long as you would like to, but what I would love to make sure that we get done here today before we close this meeting up is that you let people know exactly what it is you do, at least to the extent that you feel comfortable. As far as I understand, I know that you're a great weight loss coach for people that are looking to lose that belly fat, that unwanted fat, instead of going and having it sucked out of you, or, or having some of these crazy surgeries. Maybe somebody might want to join up with you and utilize your coaching and get a machine from you and that kind of thing. And so, what I'd like you to do is just let all of our listeners know, how do they get in touch with Coach Mabry? How do they get in touch with Coach Emily? How do they reach out to you if what you've said today resonates with them, or as they hear the recordings, if it resonates, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay, great, thank you. Well, what's happened here, guys, is, like I said, I've been in the health industry for over 35 years. I owned one of the top gyms in the Valley. I worked with a lot of athletes. My wife and I both worked together as therapists. I did a lot of rehabbing for workman's comp insurance through my gym. I did some referrals from some other therapy companies in the Valley. And oh my gosh, I wish I would have known about this water when I was doing those. It would have made my life a much, much, much easier, because now I realize I've been experimenting with this water for almost 3.5 years strictly. I mean, hard, on different body parts, different types of bodies, different ages, and recovery. I even tried to hurt myself by overtraining, and found out that if I'm doing the waters consistently and drinking enough per day, and only doing the water and adding the pink sea salt to it, my recovery after a training session is completely unbelievable. I mean, I am fully like I said, I even tried to hurt myself, and my wife used to get upset because I'm trying to do weights that I shouldn't be doing. And she's saying, you know what, you are going. I said, yeah, but I can go higher. I can do more. But there is a limit. I understand that. Well, what's happened because of this water, it's completely changed my weight loss platform. So I do have a 90-day online personal coaching where I coach. And you know what's funny? 90% of my clients are people that have Kangen water machines. Isn't that crazy? But anyway, what I do is I've realized that the hydrogen-rich water is the icing on the cake, because I have three very, very powerful protocols that I use to help people lose that body fat or lose that belly fat to where they can do it for the rest of their lives. It's very doable, it's very flexible, and and you can you're still going to enjoy the comfort foods that you like, and all three of the protocols are backed by science. So I have no problem showing them the science behind it. I have no problem because I have them, and they can go check them themselves. So, but you combine all three of these protocols together, and you follow the procedure or the protocols to the T for 90 days, because that's the most important time for those of you that are looking to lose that belly fat or body fat. You do it for 90 days and do it right and follow the protocols, you'll be shocked. Now, these protocols are also known as therapeutic. And I'll just give you an idea. One of the protocols, a researcher this is how new it is. A researcher in 2016 discovered that one of the protocols can be used to starve cancer cells, and he won a Nobel Prize. Now, how many of you know that? How many of the oncologists know that? Ask your doctor if they know it. No. Why is that? Because they don't take the time to look at the new research. There's a doctor on one of the protocols. This is what blew me away, because my wife and I both have to do continual education all the time. The research comes up all the time. And my wife is a researcher, so she'll send me stuff that she's found. But anyway, this is how new it is. And like I said, I mean, the water is the #1 on that protocol list. There's a reason for it. But there's a doctor by the name of Thomas Stiefel, and he discovered a way to monitor if you're actually burning body fat at a given moment. And it's called the GKI. And what that means is called the glucose ketone index. Now, he discovered this by accident. Well, it may not have been by accident, but he discovered this because what is he? He specializes in brain tumor cancer. And what he discovered is that by using the GKI index, he can control the insulin or the glucose in the blood to starve that tumor, the cancer cell. Yeah, how crazy that is? And so, but what's happened here is those of us that know the science behind hydrogen-rich water, we all know that inflammation is the root cause of all diseases. That's a no-brainer. Okay, what does this water do? This is why I say the two protocols, you combine the two protocols, it's powerful. Then you add hydrogen-rich water to it. That is the icing on the cake. And the reason why it's the icing on the cake, because the other two protocols are designed as the body's natural way to detox. But when you add hydrogen-rich water to those other two protocols, what are you doing with your body? Well, if your body is acidic, which it is if you're obese or if you're overweight, then what does an acidic body cause? It causes inflammation. What's the simplest and fastest way to flush out inflammation in your body? Your body's got 14 gallons of water in it. What's the fastest way? Well, that's a question that a lot of people have a hard time. Well, let's see, what is the fastest way? Very simple. Drink water that actually has a structure to it, that has the ability to enter into the cell through the water channels, that's going to flush out the toxic chemicals and the inflammation in the mitochondria. If you, and your bottled water, your tap water, filtered tap water, your RO water, You guys that are going down and spending all that money on alkaline water at the health food stores, you're slowly poisoning yourself. They can't do this. The only water that can do this is water that some of the countries still have coming out of the ground. And now we have the Japanese came up with this over almost 5 decades now. Now we have the water that could be the device that you can put in your home, which is a medical device in Japan that makes the water hydrogen-rich water and convert it. I said, so that's why I started the 90-day online personal coaching, because now I have 3 very powerful protocols, and I can educate my clients. And I'm also, because I am retired, and Enagic is my main source of income, I don't have to charge a lot for my 90-day program. I can keep it down to where people can afford it. But I love helping people when it comes to health. That's my passion. That's our passion.
That is some great stuff. And I love it. And that's because I knew you had all this stuff to offer, because I've been following you. And I follow everything you do, and I pay close attention to the things you're doing. And so that's why I was been trying to get a hold of you and get you to come on the show, because I knew that you had something powerful to offer. And so, people that are going to see this, they want to get a hold of Coach Mabry. How do they get a hold of you? What information? Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is you can message me on Facebook. So go to Facebook if you have it. When you type in my name, Bill, and I'll spell my last name, Mabry, and friend me, because I do a lot of live Facebooks on the different protocols and the benefits of them. So I give out some of my information. You can also go to my YouTube channel, type in Bill Mabry, subscribe to it, hit that bell, and you'll also get some the new videos that pop up. Or you can go to my email if you want to private message me. It's drinknatureswater@gmail.com. So you can get a hold of me there also.
Perfect. That's one of my main goals with bringing this, bringing folks like yourself on here, is I want people to be able to hook up with you if they want to, because this thing's being recorded. It's going to go onto my YouTube channel. Then I'm going to send it to you, and you can obviously feel free to use it however you want to. You don't need to call and ask for any, permission. Just know it's here for you. You're here. I'm here, and I want you to utilize it however you would like to. And another thing that I'd really love if you would be willing to do, just to help me, because when we first started this, it was my buddy Sean Wetzel and I, and we were the Kong brothers, and we were just doing it 5 days a week. But he's so busy running around and doing different things, he was having a hard time getting in. And so I thought, I'm going to switch it to the Kong family, and I'm going to do it 7 days a week. And so I'm going to be here 7 days a week, whether I have guests or not. If I don't have guests, I'm going to be talking about something that has to do with the water, doing demonstrations, whatever it is I can do. But 7 days a week on Monday through Friday at 8:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's 7:45 a.m. your time. Right. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm opening it up to any time of the day that works for the guests, whoever they are, wherever they are. Whatever time on Saturdays and Sundays works for them, I'm here, I'm in, I want to be on, and I want to be able to have them here. But my ultimate goal is to just have awesome people that want to come on the show and have it 7 days a week. And so I'm always asking the guests, hey, if you know anybody that might have a good story to tell, that might want to get on here and have a little bit of fun, get a little bit of laughing in, and share the story, because yes, this is serious stuff. But we also, I always tell people, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing the wrong thing. Right. You need to find something else. And so I like to have a lot of fun with what I'm doing, but I'm also sharing a very serious subject. And so, there is a serious side to this as well, but ultimately it's all about love and compassion and trying to help people get up the rungs on the ladder. You know, I've learned from the things, you know, most everything I'm doing in my life right now, I have it. I've learned about it because of Kangen water, and because of getting involved with this company and the incredible people that I've met, and the amazing passion and love that they have for not only themselves but for everybody else around them. And that's why it's so special being able to get people like you on here. And, you know, I'd love to get Emily on here one day if she'd like to, because I know that there are people that are going to resonate with her story as well. I'd love to hear how she told you, look, you're drinking the water.
Oh, yeah.
That's some good stuff right there, brother. And so I would love to have Emily come on if she just reaches out or whatever and lets me know, or I can.
Okay, I'll say something to her.
But I'd love to get her on whenever works for her. I'm doing this 7 days a week. And so whatever works for any people that are out there, I want to be here to help them share their story with the world. And then everything's going to get recorded, put up on YouTube, and shared out so that it can travel the world through this incredible thing. You know, I was on with Greg Snyder this morning, clear over in Japan. It was just incredible, the power that we have here, the ability to change lives and accomplish our goal, which is to change the world. And, you know, I just want to say thank you so much, Bill, for coming in here today. It's been an incredible learning experience, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to take the time. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of things going on, and man, I just can't thank you enough for coming in here. And if you'd like to come on once a month, once every little so often, whatever, you have something special that you'd like to share, you scream at me. Say, hey, Jay, I want to come on the show. I got something I want to share with the fam.
Well, maybe the next time we get on, we could do like a role play kind of a training or something.
Yeah. Anything that we could do
like
to help spread this message and get this out there and help people to make the wise choice. Health is a choice. Choose wisely. That's what
I think a lot of what's sad is a lot of the new distributors that come online, they're just not sure what to do, how to get started. So I think if we, you know, that's what I try to do with my downline is they try to get too complicated. They research a lot of they Google all the different distributors that have training programs and stuff, and they get confused. And if you really look at the ones that are successful, that have been in the business for 8, 9, 10 years. How did they build their business? Kept it simple.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
But I appreciate the opportunity to be on here today. You're doing a great job, and this is how we need to spread the word. So obviously, this is how we have to do it.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much once again, Bill. I really appreciate it. God bless you and yours.
Thank you.
Look forward to jumping back on again soon. You just kind of let me know, because like I say, my schedule's 7 days a week, so I'm totally open. And so, you know, you probably have a little more, you know, time frame you need to worry about. So you just let me know.
Okay, I will.
God, you just scream at me, say, hey, Knucklehead, I want to come on. Let's rock and roll.
That sounds good. Sounds
we'll
good.
Get it done. So everybody that's out there, Sean Wetzel, Stephanie, Paul Nelson, Bill Cox, Scott Wood, Thomas Warden. Thomas said, thanks, Bill. Welcome. And thanks for sharing your time with the Kong family. And, you know, so we love all of you guys. Ricky Bowden that's come on and joined us here today live. And, you know, just keep it up. Keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. And we're going to change the world one person at a time. One lightning bolt in a box at a time, brother. So thank you so much. Have yourself an awesome rest of the day, and have a great, prosperous week. And I look forward to having you back on the show again sometime in the near future.
Okay. You too. Thanks for the blessing.
All right, buddy. Bye for now.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.